Good morning, Manager. We've been advised by the corporation to compile the Zayin class abnormalities for you. We will be covering some abnormalities not previously covered. Please refer to the directory if you are looking for a specific abnormalities log. Today's abnormality is Abnormality Classification 00303, Abnormality Name, 1 Sin and Hundreds of Good Deeds. Abnormality Threat Level, Zayin. A silent abnormality that understands the conflict between good and evil. Its empty eye sockets stare at all those who encounter it. A giant skull that is attached to a cross. It wears a crown of thorns. It floats about 2 meters above the ground. While its appearance is bizarre, it is rare to record an incident of violence against employees involving this abnormality. It feeds on the evil that seeps out during conversations between people. The assigned employee must kneel before it. Standing appears to be acceptable, and present their evil by confessing their sins to it. The way it feeds is unknown. We have cataloged the sins a person can commit into 3 levels. Level 1. A small lie or action that either goes unnoticed or can be shared in jest. Level 2. Sins that are more serious and only shared with the closest of friends. Level 3. Sins so profound that they cannot be shared with anyone. These will be taken to the grave. Employee had been assigned to confess a level 1 sin. Energy production via the abnormality increased by 12%. Employee was assigned to confess a level 2 sin. Energy production via the abnormality increased by 15%. We assigned employee to confess a level 3 sin. 1 minute and 48 seconds after the employee was sent in, a bright flash of light was seen. The light was so bright it could have been seen outside of the containment unit. Immediately following the light, there was a facility-wide power outage. The phenomena lasted for 2 hours. Employee lost 6 years of their memory. Further experiments were cancelled. Scientific ethics decree that all footage of those who participated in the experiment is to be kept sealed. However, the incident left us no choice but to review the footage of the containment unit.
This happened at around 4 p.m. There was a railway around 20 minutes from my house. Some of my good friends and I decided to dress as forest animals. One of us chose to go as a deer. It was a crude costume. It could hardly be called one, to be honest. Just a pair of clumsy made antlers and a dark outfit with some deer-like spots on it. I don't know how our deer friend wandered into the woods. We even noticed he was missing for maybe an hour. We searched for him and finally found him in some bushes. We called out his name. I'm not sure if it was from relief or finally finding us, or what, but he started sprinting towards us. And that's when we heard it. The gunshots. Bang, bang, bang. When I came to my senses, I saw his blood splattered all the way to my feet. After that, not one of us dressed up as an animal ever again. That's all. By the way, is this really supposed to work?
Its eye sockets are empty. It is a skull after all, but I doubt it's blind. It certainly has its gaze fixed on me, and I can somehow feel that it's listening to me. Confessing to it does light my heart, admittedly. Afterwards, we investigated the incident in the employee's hometown to get a better picture. We learned that a boy named Justin was shot and killed in a deer costume by hunters during hunting season. Unlike the employee's confession, Justin was repeatedly bullied by other kids. Witnesses said that they heard the kid shout, "Run, Justin, run!" right before the gunshot. After the incident, the kids at the scene moved out of town. Deer hunting was banned in the area. Honestly, you can't expect all our employees to give honest confessions to that skull. About every 1 in 10 employee will tend to say something that is not completely true. It is a bit different from a lie. You could even say that it's a subconscious excuse they make. They distort perspectives to justify their actions, even though they are aware that they should be telling the truth. Once this happens, the confession is no longer truly a confession. Yes, I'm talking about you trying to justify your tardiness for 5 minutes now. Today's abnormality is abnormality classification F0552, abnormality name opened can of WellCheers, abnormality threat level Zayin. Hey, have you guys ever been to one of those lobotomy meetups? Mind you, it took a lot of courage for me to bring this up again. You see, there's a bunch of clubs in this company where employees gather up. I once attended some kind of ping pong group event thing, but there weren't any girls there, so I pulled out real quick. So one day I saw this announcement for some weird get-together on the corp message board. I got interested, so I called up the group leader and he introduced himself as from safety. I asked if there were any girls in the group, and he told me there was a ton of female employees. Now that got me super interested, so I signed up right away for the upcoming meetup. So I showed up, got a name tag like everyone else. I don't remember everything, but I think they saw 3 people from training and 2 from information. About maybe half an hour later, the leader brought in dozens of cans of WellCheers on a tray and gave one to each of us. I should have realized something was wrong because the can was already opened. And I'm a sucker for soda and I just gulped the damn thing down my throat the moment he passed me a can. Now after that, the leader told us it's time to move, and he said he got a van rented for us. I thought he was an awesome guy for that. I hopped in the van with 2 employees from Horde and 1 guy from the same department as me. The leader said it was going to take about an hour drive so we could take a nap if we wanted. So we did. Weird thing was though, I went to sleep real fast. Real fast. The moment I shut my eyes, I was out like a light. I have insomnia, but for whatever reason, I fell asleep so fast that that was my biggest mistake. Anyways, I was sound asleep, but I heard seagulls, and was like, what the fuck? Seagulls? Yeah, at first I thought it was someone's phone alarm, but then I heard waves crashing. I was like, man, this is way too real to be a phone alarm. So I opened my eyes to find myself lying on a deck. I was on a goddamn boat. An actual real-life boat. I knew I was screwed the moment I saw shrimp hopping around. It sent chills down my spine. I wanted to believe it was all a dream, but I swear the shrimp's realistic flopping was a sobering sight. The realization crushed me like a hammer. And I was surrounded by people who looked like they were the crew. They were all beefed up. It felt like they'd put me back to sleep with force if I said something wrong. One slip and I'd be swimming with sharks. The crew was around 10 people, including the captain, boatswain, cook, and all that. They all chuckled at me while I was spacing out. The guy who looked like the captain walked towards me and asked me about my height and weight. I asked him when the ship goes to port. He told me it'd be about a month, but that I shouldn't try and run away or anything because they made a deal with my people. I had no damn idea who my people were, but I was too afraid to ask. Then the other crew members called me over for lunch. They were making instant ramen, putting shrimp, crabs, clams, and all sorts of other stuff in it. They told me to stop acting like I was going to jump into the sea and to try their ramen. I said no at first, but they laughed at me again, saying that there weren't any sleeping pills or stuff like that in it, and gave me some anyway. A man's gotta live. So I ate it. It tasted better than I expected it to. As soon as we finished lunch, they told me they were going to teach me how to adjust the ropes. I pretty much gave up at that point, so I just simply answered, sure. All I could say anyway were these little islands that no one would have a chance at surviving on. For a month, I learned how to pull up fish traps, fill bait boxes, repair fish nets, cook some ramen, get coffee, all sorts of stuff. I kept getting better, and I got to the point where I could prepare mackerel sashimi and fish stew for the crew. Everyone complimented it, said I could open a restaurant with that stew. Later on, we went through a couple of typhoons. Them and I started forming some kind of bond, a companionship. Whales were becoming a common sight at that point. 2 weeks in, The captain told me I was pretty good and asked me if I was interested in officially joining the crew. When I thought about it, I would have been fired from the corp anyway. So this seemed like a legitimate opportunity to make a living. This was the first time I got a compliment after all. What am I doing now? Well, I've been promoted and now I'm living fine. I found true happiness in cracking open a cold one after a hard day's work, covered in seawater and sweat. I'm at the port now, but we gotta take off soon to catch some more shrimp. Never know what the future holds, bros. Sometimes I think about the other people who were at the meetup that day. Not that I really want to snoop around to find out though, I just try to keep a positive mind. I want to say they're hopefully doing good, just like me. Oh, it's time to sail out. See you guys. Today's abnormality is Abnormality Classification F0483, Abnormality Name, Very Festival. Abnormality Threat Level, Zayin. The abnormality is similar to a fairy. Having two pairs of wings and a small body, they act as a cluster. They use a language we cannot understand to communicate with each other. They follow a few employees around when they enter the containment unit, using their special abilities to help heal injuries. Employees call this act the fairy's care. The fairies protect our employees. If you often act out of the goodness of your heart and are a lover of nature, then the fairies will gladly take care of you. Everything will be peaceful when you are under the fairy's care. You can also enjoy the envious glances you'll get from the employees. Not that that's important, but what if the fairies don't approach you? Then you should reflect on your life. When Emil and I took shifts entering the fairies' containment unit, the fairies did not hesitate to approach me. Only me. Never towards Emil. You all know Emil and how he is. Why, just yesterday he refused to share his snacks with me, and he was acting all high and mighty. It is a sacred act to be protected by fairies in any world. However, do not enter the containment unit just to have a bit of fun. If you've read a few books on them, you'll know that fairies dislike those who take advantage of their kindness. When Walter, who was under the care of the fairies, died in the room of another abnormality, we noticed some anomalies. His stomach and face were ripped off, and his eyeballs and organs were damaged as if they were eaten by something. Moreover, the containment unit Walter was found in was for an abnormality that uses psychological attacks. Meanwhile, the fairies had someone's blood and flesh smeared all over their mouths. We did not bother to examine them to find out whose flesh and blood it was. In our world, there are only few outcomes that result from perfect kindness. Having fairies that live in a forest visit you just because they like you, or that you've done some good deeds, is only something that happens in fairy tales. Even though we know the truth, we still sometimes become deluded, thinking that the fairies' care is happening because of all the good deeds we've done, or that fairies are favoring us because there is something that makes us more special than other employees. The fairies are no more than carnivorous monsters, and their protection is their method to keep the meat fresh. When an employee enters another containment unit, they gobble them up in fear that they'll lose their food to something else. However, the employees were greatly satisfied by the fairies' care. We saw a drastic decrease in the accident rate, so we deemed it unnecessary to tell the truth to the employees. Today's abnormality is Abnormality Classification D01106, Abnormality Name, Army in Black. Abnormality Threat Level, Zayin. This abnormality takes the form of humanoid creatures in pink equipment. Its intellectual capacity is high enough that it can verbally converse with human beings. At the very least, it seems friendly during observation and work. It has identified itself as a special force from and uses the pronoun we when referring to itself. It has continuously shown positive intentions to help humanity.
Well, I felt threatened because of your art. That bright pink outfit's disturbing as well. Doesn't belong in a place like this.
What's your opinion on the nature of humans, Mr.
I think it depends on a person's experience. Why do you ask?
It is a highly debatable topic, but this is what we think we should do. If a person is good from the start, we protect their good heart. If a person is bad from the start, we will make a good heart out of them and protect that heart.
How are you going to do that?
We can see the color of humanity's hearts. The color of the human heart is pink, and by wearing the same color, we can blend in with people's minds. We will gladly get dirty for the sake of the good-hearted.
Wait, you'll get dirty instead of the people. Is that actually a thing that's possible?
Indeed it is.
I'm sorry, but I can't just trust you or whatever you say. It's rather suspicious that you can see the color of someone's heart.
If anything happens, just call us, man.
Following what was in the recording, the Abnormality's will to help others is solid. We have yet to grasp detailed information around this abnormality. Perhaps actually asking it for help could aid in learning more. However, just like any other abnormality, we shouldn't blindly trust it. I plan to have a suppression team ready, while I pretend to ask it for help. So a lot's happened up to now. To summarize the whole thing, this abnormality is the best thing we've ever had here. A few months ago, I took a chance asking this abnormality for help, and ever since I've been using it, I've gotten help from it about times by now. My efficiency at work has gotten so much better too. At this point, just looking at something pink makes me feel better. Those creatures bolster it in a way even the greatest leaders can't match. This abnormality will greatly improve our employees' quality of life.
You can do it again today, right?
Yes, the human heart is pink, and we wear the same color. We will drive away bad thoughts.
Hear that? Yes, it's still in the best condition. We can put this abnormality to good use again in our next suppression. They're so much better than human soldiers. Perhaps we should positively consider putting them on our special suppression team. On a side note, they seem to have gotten a bit darker in color. But I don't think it's anything to lose sleep over.
The human heart, we must clean. Even the smallest speck of evil must be cleaned.
Seems a bit less energetic than usual. Though it'll be fun, I think. We filed this urgent report due to the drastic changes in Army in Pink. We're still trying to grasp exactly what happened. A total of employees have passed away. The following audio is a recording of the first assumed casualty, employee Serena.
An abnormality has broken out again in the section. I'd like to ask if you can help us out again.
Yes, we, the Army in Black, blend into the human heart and drive away good thoughts.
Hold on, what? That's not your line.
The human heart is black. We must regularly clean.
What are you talking about? You're creeping me out, man.
We'll protect you with our black glove.
Stop. I'll call the suppression team. If you move an inch, I swear.
We salute you, man.
Today's abnormality is abnormality classification. Bald is awesome. Abnormality name, you're bald. Abnormality threat level, Zayin. Warning! You've been hit by the Baldy Bald psychological attack. If a non-bald person reads this, they'll be granted the privilege to go bald at an extremely rapid pace. If one wants to stop this from happening, they must be assigned to work on this abnormality. In addition, if you find 10 or more strands of hair on your pillow in the morning, it is recommended to peruse this encyclopedia article at least 3 times.
I had an amazing dream today. What? Did you win the lottery or something? When I got to work, everyone was bald. Everyone, including you. Maybe even people outside of this corporation. I think you've been pretty stressed lately. Why don't you go take counseling?
Employee Bill suffered an unfortunate accident with Singing Machine that day. Right after that incident, abnormality Bald is Awesome appeared in the facility. We all cherish the memories of Bald Bill. If one comes in contact with the abnormality, they will talk or write about the positive aspects of baldness for about an hour, and ultimately make themselves go bald. If you become bald, you can save time, because you don't have to wash or dry your hair anymore, allowing you to be richer than others. No adverse reactions will happen if a bald employee is assigned to work with this abnormality. The bald don't have to worry about hair loss. If a non-bald employee is assigned, they will shave off their own hair. Bald people can even reflect light off their head and blind their opponents like a solar flare. This abnormality's goal is to make every human on Earth bald. We won't need light bulbs in our facility if there are more bald employees, because light reflects off their heads. This will allow us to save a tremendous amount of our budget. If a non-bald employee is sent to work with the abnormality, it'll produce less energy. Did you know that every single noble in Europe during the Middle Ages was bald? They change their wigs every day. We've just added some new rules to the company code of conduct. If you spot a mocking their coworker with alopecia areata, they'll be labeled as a hirsute and will be banned from using the lounge for an indefinite period. They will also be forbidden from joining the company's debate club, questionnaires of the absence of bald Barbies, the gourmet meetup, octopi over squid, and the environmental protection group Save the Bald Eagles. These regulations will be lifted as soon as the rule breaker's hair strand count goes below 1. Lastly, I'd like to dedicate this article to employee TH, who is quietly taking balding medicine next to me right now. This will conclude the compilation of the abnormality class, Zayin. We thank you again for your hard work and dedication to the corporation manager. And to any other managers listening from subsequent facilities, we thank you as well. Face the fear, build the future. Lobotomy Corporation, an energy corporation for the entire city.